So now we get to probably my favorite segment, and this is going to be the last one. Thank you all for sticking around this long. If you're still listening, I appreciate you. And shoot me a tweet or Instagram DM or something like that. I want to know if you guys made it this far. But so the last segment, I'm going to talk about my school's football team, the John Carroll Blue Streaks. They just got a new head coach this year in Drew Nystrom, and he, I feel, is going to put together a very good season for him and his guys. I am probably going to surprise a lot of people with this. So I'm looking at their schedule, right? They start week 1, September 3rd at Washington and Jefferson. They played them last year, the first week, and they lost at home. So now I believe they are going to go back, play those guys again week 1, and they are going to beat them at their place and give them a taste of their own medicine. And I believe it's not going to be close. I have faith in my boys that they will beat them. Now, here's where my problem lies with their schedule. Their bye is very early in week 2. And following their bye, they play Baldwin-Wallace, where that might have been one of the greatest football games I have ever watched. Not because of the first 3 quarters. It was the greatest fourth quarter comeback I have watched, where I knew players on the team. I watched them come all the way back. They were down 3 possessions in the fourth quarter. Let me tell you that. They were down 3 possessions, and they came all the way back at their place, at Baldwin-Wallace, and they beat them for the rock, the trophy, the coveted trophy of the rivalry. But anyways, back to this. They play in week 3 at home here at John Carroll. It's going to be a very tough game. Don't get me wrong, because Baldwin-Wallace is going to be hungry after what happened last year, as I wouldn't blame them for that, But they're coming off the bye. And they're not going to be lackadaisical, but I wouldn't be surprised if they come out just a little slow. They're not going to poop the bed and lose the game. They're going to win. It's going to be a dogfight all the way to the end, though. Baldwin-Wallace will keep it very competitive, and it's going to be a tight one all the way through. Week 4, they play Heidelberg at home, and they're going to win. Heidelberg, we should expect to beat them every single year. Same with Wilmington. We play them on the road, which should be another win. Play Marietta at home week 6, another win. Then we play Ohio Northern at their place. And Ohio Northern gave me a slight scare for a half second this year. But this year we should beat them. This upcoming year we should beat them at their place. I just hit my microphone. Hopefully nothing happened. But anyways, week 8. John Carroll plays Capital at home. Now, I'm not expecting them to put up another 90-piece, because that game was... I remember logging onto Twitter that day, and just, oh my goodness, the entire OAC, and the memes that I saw, and all the tweets, and I saw... Was it Barstool Mount Union that said that we were a disgrace? They said something along those lines, that we didn't have any class or anything like that because we ran up the score. Go back and watch the film. We ran the ball, and they couldn't stop it. What do you want us to do? What, do you want us to throw the ball and score 100? No. We're going to run the ball, to run the clock out, and we started putting our backups in and all that, and our backup running backs were taking it to the house. Crib. 6-piece. With a side, a little bit of sauce. It just happened to be 90-0 at their place. And it kind of made national headlines and got some recognition. Because the Blue Streaks are the best team in the OAC. So, anyways, after that Capital game at home, there's a 2-game road trip. Week 9 is against Muskingum. Muskie, at Muskie. That should be a win. Week 10 at Mount Union. I did the same thing for this game that I did for the Michigan-Ohio State game. I did win/loss because it's going to come down to whoever has the ball last. But I will touch on this when I get to my keys for success, my 5 points. Week 11 is home against Otterbein, which John Carroll will win. And unlike Michigan, John Carroll, their schedule is split where they have 5 games at home and 5 games away. So you could argue they're playing a tougher schedule just because they don't have as many home games. But that's how the world works. And so I believe John Carroll will make the playoffs this year. And if they follow the 5 keys to success, they will be the OAC champions and beat Mount at their place because it's time, baby. This isn't one of my key points to success, but I want to say this. It's Joe Collins' time, baby. I have been waiting on this day since I was a freshman and I got to play alongside him, got to stand on the sideline and watch this kid spin the rock as a freshman, spin the rock as a sophomore, got to see what he could do at practice as a junior. The kid's a stud. There was guys in front of him. There was a guy in front of him named Jake Floria who got to go play in the CFL for a little bit this past year. Got to go in the camp. I didn't follow up on how he did. I'll look it up. I'll follow up on that. But Jake was a good quarterback. I'll say that. He was a good quarterback. But it's Joe Collins' time. Jake was a great dual threat quarterback, but Joe is a better passer of the ball. I'm going to keep it real. Joe can throw the ball. Joe can run too. Don't sleep on Joe. Joe's sneaky athletic. Joe can tuck in and run if he wants to. But he wants to throw the ball. He's a quarterback. As every quarterback should. They want to throw the ball. So, first key for success. So, the head coach is Drew Nystrom, and he's going to be co-offensive coordinators with Matt Baker, former quarterback of the NFL. My message to you is run the damn ball. Last year, you had 3 running backs in your backfield who averaged over 5 yards a carry, and guess what? They are all coming back. Yep, I'm saying that. They are all coming back. Who averaged over 5 yards a carry last year. Run the damn ball. Run the ball. I mean, I think that's all I really need to say, right? Like, run the ball. Run the ball. Anyways. Second point. Get the ball to Brennan Few. That kid is a stud. All-conference receiver. Here's some statistics for you just to get a little picture of this dude. He had 65 catches. He had over 1,100 yards in 10 games. And he scored 7 touchdowns. He averaged 17 yards a catch. Those stats are insane to me. He had over 100 yards a game. He had over 1,100 yards receiving on 65 catches. Averaged 17 yards a catch. That's a first down and 3 quarters every time he catches the ball. On average, at least. And the thing about Few is, what I really love about his game, he is a very well-rounded receiver who is tall. He's got the body to be a good receiver, right? He's got all that. He's got the physical attributes. He's fast, so you can hit him on a deep fade route. You can throw the ball up to him on the goal line, and he will jump over you and snatch the ball in front of your face and take it away from you. He can run the short routes. He can run the little drags and take it for 60 yards after catch. He will hurdle over you. He will truck you. He will stiff arm you. He will juke you. He will spin. He'll do whatever he can. The kid can do it all. Very, very well-rounded receiver. And so get the ball to him and run the ball. You go undefeated. I'm sorry. Like, the defense is good, which, like, the offense last year was good, and the defense struggled a little bit, but if history repeats itself, the defense is going to be the strong point of the team. And don't get me wrong, I love Joe and all, but there's going to be some growing pains. Just because, like, he hasn't taken really starter game reps since high school. And as no one should expect him to come in and throw 5 touchdowns in the first game or 500 yards. It's going to be a very well-balanced offense that first game against W&J, as it should be for the rest of the season. Let me get that straight. But when it comes to, like, John Carroll throwing the ball, like, there will be games where Joe's going to throw for 350-plus yards. And there might be a game where he might throw for 120. But that shouldn't matter if your game plan is balanced enough to where, okay, if the pass isn't working, we can run the ball and be effective like that. Run the clock out, control the TOP, which is time of possession. Control that, limit your turnovers, and gain yards, and you control everything and score. So my next point is going to be the one area that the defense needs to improve on is just tightening up their pass coverage. Now, their pass rush needs a little work. If I'm not mistaken, they had 26 sacks last year. So that's about 2.5 sacks a game. But when the defensive line was at their peak and they set the NCAA record, they averaged over 4 sacks. It might have been 5. But they averaged, 4 or 5 sacks a game. So that's why sometimes the defensive backfield has gotten a bad rap just because people who don't know football will look and be like, oh, that corner got beat. Well, yeah, no, duh. Sometimes that quarterback will have 6 seconds to throw. That receiver might make 3 moves. That doesn't work for a defender. It's not going to work in your favor. And I take a lot of passion in watching the defensive side of the ball. I'm a very defensive-minded person. If you couldn't tell about how much I harped on, we should run the ball. But the run defense has always been great. That's always been like the staple of a John Carroll defense, was the ability to stop the run. But the pass defense, I think, will get better because there's a stud on the defense. He plays corner. I know him pretty well. He doesn't know I'm shouting him out right now, but I'll send him a text as soon as this comes out. His name is Elijah Chungu. I remember watching him come in as a freshman, and I was a sophomore. I'm a year older than him. He's going to his junior season. I remember seeing him as a freshman, and I was like, this kid's got it. He's got the athletic ability. He's got all that. He just needed to adjust to the speed of college football, understand and grasp the game. And once he does that, like, the sky's the limit for this kid. Like, he's a dog. Like, he can be physical when he wants to. He can play off. He can run with the best of them. He can play zone. He can play man. He can do it all. But the thing that separates him from the rest of the corners in the OAC, so his one pick, he was on ESPN for it because he made a diving catch. But Elijah, my brother, I know when you keep your feet and you intercept the ball, when this kid intercepts the ball, let me explain it to you like this. He was a skill position in high school. Like, he was just a pure athlete. If he gets the ball in his hands, good luck trying to tackle him. He's electric with the ball in his hands. I really hope he gets a pick and he's got a receiver in front of him and in like green grass, like one-on-one, oh, I want to see what move he pulls out. He might just run around him. He's that fast. He's got speed. Former track guy. That's why I have a little bit more love for him too. All track guys have that kind of special place in my heart. But, and then, there's other guys that are stepping up that are going to take over. And I do have faith that the guys that are taking over the defensive secondary will step up. And the guys on the defensive line, I believe, will be able to step up as well. And blitzing linebackers and pennies and all that, like, the defense that John Carroll runs is built to stop the run and pass at the same time. A little bit more freedom and all that. But I believe one of the keys for success, if they want to beat Mount, they need to tighten up the pass defense, because their quarterback is going to try to throw it all over the field like they did the past 2 years. And so that's going to be how we win. Force them to run the ball and play an old school hard-nosed football game. And so it leads me kind of into my next point. So when you get down in the nitty-gritty, right, and you start running the ball and you run the ball effectively, get down to the red zone. This is where you need to capitalize, especially against a team like Mount. Last year, 69% of the time John Carroll entered the red zone, they came away with at least a score. 46% of the time they were in the red zone, they scored a touchdown. And that's not great, because opponents, 70% of the time when they were in the red zone, they came away with a score, and 60% of the time they scored a touchdown. That's not a winning recipe for success. You need to capitalize in the red zone, and when it comes down to is running the ball. Simple as that. Stop throwing so many passes inside the 20-yard line. Like, that means you have 30 yards or less to work with of the field. It condenses it, and it becomes easier for the defense to stop you. You then become almost predictable if you're throwing the ball. There's only so many concepts you can run. And there's 11 players to cover 30 yards. It's not going to, go very well if you decide to throw the ball in the red zone all the time, because you become predictable. So run the ball. Because, yet again, you have 3 running backs averaging over 5 yards a carry. Run the ball. Especially with John Carroll's offensive line, run the ball. The offensive linemen love run blocking. You know why? Because it gets them on the point of attack, and they can use their hands. They can go out and attack the D lineman and not sit back in a pass pro and let the D lineman come to them with all the momentum and all that. And so my last point, this stat kind of just, it had me in shock. But at the same time it didn't, because watching the games you kind of saw this. The last key for success, very, very simple. It comes down to converting on third down. 48 of 129 times we converted on third down. So there's 129 times we were faced with a third down. 48 of those times we got the first. I'm going to let that sink in a little bit. If you want to do the math, you can, but I'll spoil it for you. That's 37% of the time where you get a first down on third down. It doesn't matter if it's third and short, third and inches, or third and 100. Like, it brings me, again, back to the point. Run the damn ball. Yeah, the 3 running backs over 5 yards a carry, like, that sticks out to me. You've got Demarius, you've got Buser, and you got McVay. 3 running backs that are all coming back. They're all studs. They can run in between the tackles, outside the tackles. They can catch the ball. They can pass block. But I would love to see them with the ball in their hands, making plays, running the football. And especially, I feel like that's going to be one of the main focal points of the offense this season, just because we're transitioning to a new quarterback. But overall, John Carroll will have another successful season. They will. They'll have a winning record. That's easy. 9-1 is realistic, and also 10-0 is. So they do make the playoffs. They won't get gypped. And I predict they'll be OAC champs. I believe this is the year to beat Mount. And so my closing thoughts, I just want to look back and say thank you all for sticking around this long. This was a lot of fun to make. I've had a lot of fun just talking into this microphone, pulling up notes, stats, and all that. And again, if you want to reach out, follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Jonesin on the mic, JONSINONTHEMIC. Use the hashtag Jonesin on the mic to sending questions via Instagram or Twitter. Tweet at me, reply to me. I create polls on Instagram story. I'll start doing that more. I'll create polls on Twitter. But I want some interaction from you guys. I want to hear what you guys thought of this first episode. Thank you all for sticking around. Again, the second episode probably won't be this long. This is just a pilot episode, and I wanted to talk about a lot of things. But a preview for next episode, I will be covering my quarterback rankings list. And yes, I went all the way down. I think it was 36. 36 was the number I stopped at because I was like, all right, at this point, I'm just getting into backups. But, yeah. Till next week, thank you so much. God bless.